23% of children are living in poverty in the United States. This is personal to me, having worked with children and their families for 30 years. I have personally seen the negative impacts of poverty on early childhood development, both cognitively and physically. Through research, we know that 90% of a child's brain is developed by age 3. This chart shows a child's brain connections growth in the first 2 years of life, proving how very important early experiences are and that we must provide positive environments for those most at risk. This presentation will address adverse childhood experiences that children in poverty are more frequently exposed to and potential cognitive consequences that may occur. A child's relationships, learning resources, and stress can be affected by poverty. Thus, promoting resilience is key in working with parents. Not all stress is negative. Positive stress is normal and healthy. Tolerable stress activates the alert systems to a greater degree. They may result in the loss of a loved one or scary injury. If tolerable stress is time limited and supported by a relationship, the child will recover. Toxic stress is when a child experiences frequent, prolonged adversity without adequate adult relationships and supports. Stress responses disrupt a child's development. Adverse childhood experiences include abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction, which includes mental illness, incarceration, violence against parents or family members, witnessing violence, substance abuse, divorce, or a significant change in a family situation or structure, such as deployment. This chart shows how chronic fear and toxic situations affect children in low economic environments. Take a look at this. Almost 50% of children in poverty witness violence, compared to 31% in the higher income brackets. That's just a staggering statistic. Here we see that chances of developmental delays increases incrementally with the number of adverse childhood experiences. Look at the difference between a child with 1 to 2 risk factors and a child with 7 risk factors. 5% developmental delays and the chance to 100%. Here's a comparison of the neuron networks in the brain between children growing up with persistent stress and those with tolerable stress. Notice the difference in the number of visual connections between those with normal or typical neuron connections and those that have been damaged by toxic stress. When an individual is confronted with chronic fear and threat, stress systems are activated and elevate levels of stress chemicals circulating throughout the body. These increases can have a dramatic impact on how memories are processed and stored. These increases also strengthen the formation of memories of emotional events and can block the ability to unlearn fear memories. Interestingly, too much cortisol can also have the opposite effect and actually impair memory and learning in non-threatening contexts. That's fascinating. Resilience is the ability to cope with stressful situations. Research has shown that positive relationships with adults constitute a basic structure where all meaningful development occurs. Here are some tips to help parents support their child in their cognitive and physical development. Children need positive, predictable relationships with parents and other caregivers in a safe, culturally appropriate environment to achieve healthy growth and development. Again, I can't stress how important those positive relationships are for children. Parents should promote and serve and return relationships. Infants are great communicators. They use sounds, facial expressions, and gestures, and adults need to respond with the same or similar responses and gestures in a genuine manner. Work with parents to encourage their child's social skills to play and participate in age and developmentally appropriate positive settings and group activities. Both serve in return, and social skills will optimize a child's self-esteem and therefore mitigate some of the damaging effects of toxic stress. Parents can also help their child to trust himself by trying new activities and complimenting successes, and also helping learn from hardships. Encouraging risk-taking in a controlled situation promotes thought. Work with parents to establish and keep a routine by following simple daily rituals throughout the day, such as eating at predictable times, dressing, bathing, toothbrushing, napping and nightly bedtime routines. This structure helps a child. Reading a story before naps, bedtime, or actually any time is also very reassuring and very reinforcing to the relationship. If a family uses ebooks and learning, work with them to ensure these activities are interactive and appropriate both in time spent, the activity, and the relationship. Parents need to take time for their own healthy eating, exercise, and rest to feel strong and teach children good habits to last throughout their lifetime. Also, working on their own relationships provides good modeling for children on developing relationships. In conclusion, biological response to stress is intimately involved in both fear and learning and unlearning. I hope you understand a bit more about the caustic effects and have some ideas